Zoe here, and I have returned with another video. This one wasn't what I was anticipating on working on, so it was quite the pivot when I decided to start working on it. I saw a Drawfee video where they were making fan art of a how to draw anime book that was published way back in the early 2000s by Katie Coop. This got me thinking about the art books that I used to learn my own drawing skills. So that's what this video is, me making fan art of the art books I used when I was first learning to draw. So without further ado, let's get into this. Each of these drawings are based on a character from one of the 3 mastering manga books by Mark Grilly. The first drawing is from book 1, the second is from book 2, and the third from book 3. I used these books for drawing references all the time back in the day. Basically, if I was struggling with a pose, clothes folding, hands, eyes, or whatever else I thought I needed help with, I would give a flip through them. I chose these books because I would consider Mark Grilly to be the closest thing I have to an art teacher. By the time I started to learn how to draw back in 2015, it was a bit too late for me to take a high school art class because we were already in the second semester of my senior year. So I had to do the next best thing and teach myself. I looked up how to draw anime, or was it manga? I don't quite remember. It was 10 years ago and I barely remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, so I'm going to assume it was manga because I was really into the Attack on Titan manga at the time and I had convinced myself that I could do that too. Either way, I found my way to Mark Grilly's YouTube channel. I started watching and draw along with all of his videos and eventually got his books. I did this and using his books and his videos as a combination of learning for several years, which is why I would consider him to be the closest thing I have to an art teacher despite being self-taught. The first drawing was a random character from the first mastering manga book. I have drawn her several times before in her normal pose, which I guess because I deliberately selected her, it wasn't really random, but you kind of get the point, right? I selected this one out of all of the characters in the book, and the pose that I had drawn her in the past before was the pose that was in the book. I can't remember if she actually appears more than once or not, but I don't really suppose that matters because this is a fan art and not a replica. So I didn't copy the pose and I made one up myself. As she is a barbarian lady with a big sword, I figured I could draw her fighting some kind of monster. I'm not very good at coming up with monster designs, so I went for like a large snake or serpent. Those mean the same thing, so I don't know why I said it like they were different things. Either way, it doesn't matter. What does matter is the fact that I decided to use the serpent as a way of attempting to direct your eye to the character with it being in darker colors while the barbarian lady is in lighter colors. I think this allows her to pop out from the snake's body that's coiling behind her and kind of helps balance the piece. Because I was using the color palette that the character is in the book, which is basically shades of brown, I wanted to use this opportunity to focus a bit on the values of the fan art as a way of framing things. I really like how it turned out. It may seem like she's in a bit of trouble, but she doesn't need no man, and this is a normal day for her. At least I assume so. I'm unaware if Mark Grilly has any established lore for this character, so I'm making it up. You can't stop me. Mwahahaha. Since I've been talking about my first art teacher, I suppose now is a good time to continue yapping about my particular art journey. Also, it's weird. I have like this weird relationship between like calling someone my art teacher because I would consider myself to be self-taught, but I also learned through people on the internet and they weren't specifically trying to teach me or were just trying to help a large audience. So I don't know. I consider myself self-taught, but I also consider to have had teachers. It's kind of odd, and I'm definitely not saying all of this because I'm starting the next piece and want some fluff to fill out the video while I talk about something people hopefully find interesting. Anyways, as my cat rubs the mic, hopefully that doesn't pick up, or I can edit out any extra noise. Thor, let's get you away from here. Anyways, on to art teacher number 2. This one isn't just one person, but a group of people. And I am grouping them together because they all work together on the same YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that I've learned from this group several times before, so if you frequent this channel, you may be able to guess. That's right, I'm talking about the Drawfee crew. I didn't initially start watching Drawfee with the intent to learn anything way back in 2016, or was it 2017? It doesn't matter, I've been watching them for a long time. I started watching them because they were doing funny art things, and I like laughing. Fortunately for me, I was starting to get into digital drawing around the same time, so as I watched them draw, I would notice them doing something that struck me as an interesting way to do something, or something that I didn't even know was possible, and I attempted them myself. Basically, watching them gave me the courage to fuck around and find out. Courage isn't the right word, I just didn't realize the things they were doing were possible, and wanted to try and experiment. Eventually they started doing draw class, and I make sure to watch the VODs as they come out, and I do draw along as a good way to practice. I don't do enough of that, and it's an excuse to learn something while I doodle. So really, it's just a win-win. Now, onto the piece that I've been working on while yapping about Drawfee, something I might do a bit too much. It's my hyperfixation I choose when I talk about it. I'm just a big fan. Anyways, the character I chose was from Mastering Manga 2. I can't remember how many times this character shows up in the book. I could check. They're like literally on my bookshelf. I could just walk over and look, but I'm not going to do that because I am lazy. I chose this man because he was in a suit. That may seem to be a bit of an odd reason because he isn't the only person in a suit, but I never actually drew this man before. His initial pose makes him seem like a cool businessman, or perhaps a secret agent of some kind, and I chose to go with an office worker who has to wear a suit to work. Maybe he's in management or something. Since I went with an office worker, I wanted him to be at a desk working, like how they do. Perhaps he didn't sleep well, or it's been a long day. Maybe he hates his job, but has to continue to work there to support his children who he loves very much. Oh my, I just made him a single father. I don't know if he's very Dilfy, so if there's any experts in the comments, just go ahead and let me know your thoughts. Anyway, with this scene, I wanted him to be tired at his desk working, so that's what I did. Again, this character was monochrome in their coloring. Is that the right word? That usually refers to things in black and white, right? I'm Googling it. Okay, it's monochrome. It's a variety of tones in one color, usually black and white, but shades of brown work. So, again, I was focusing on the values of the piece. If you don't know what I mean by values, I mean lights and darks. Just for clarification, the light source was the screen of the laptop, so I tried to make the area surrounding it the brightest in the piece. After that, it was just a matter of putting things around him that made him look like he was in an office space. I based this on my own workstation at, well, my work. I don't work in an office, but we do need access to a computer sometimes, so we have a canopy with a computer station under it. That has some other office type things around there too, so I just kind of used that for my reference. To clarify, I work outside, and correct, we don't have a proper indoor station for our computers. It's a truly great idea on the company's part. Either way, that's going to be it for this drawing. Let's move on to our final piece. While we get started, I suppose I should wrap up the art teacher journey and talk about my last art teacher. This was during my brief attempt to do college back in 2018. I was attending my local community college and decided to take an art class in hopes of furthering my art education. I suppose that's the real reason anybody takes an art class, even if they would word it differently. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I took a real art class for the first time after starting drawing like 3 years ago. It was an introduction to sketching or something like that. Basically, it was one of the college's intro courses you had to take before moving on to more advanced stuff. We worked mostly with pencils and charcoal. I'd never worked with charcoal before, so that was fairly interesting. Unfortunately, the class didn't teach me much because we were mostly doing still lifes and sketches, which I have had plenty of experience doing. I will admit the most important thing the class taught me about was gesture drawing. These have been very helpful when trying to figure out how anatomy works. I even used those skills in the drawings I was working on today, and every time I draw a person or animal. Unfortunately, I don't remember the art teacher's name, and it was my last quarter of college because I decided that the classroom setting wasn't really for me and my undiagnosed ADHD. So, yeah, despite the one art class, I do actually consider myself to be self-taught because it was covering most of the stuff that I already know. It's weird. My art journey is weird. And so is my relationship to art teachers. I've said this like several times. I guess I'm just reiterating it. Now we once again move on to the piece I am working on. Once again. This was actually a full color drawing I got from Mastering Manga 3. Normally, the character is in a running pose, and she is part of a tutorial on how to draw dynamic running poses, and how to exaggerate or not exaggerate them. What's the opposite of exaggerating? I feel like this is something I should know, but the word isn't coming to me. Is it normalize? Hopefully you get what I mean. This character struck me as a sci-fi security lady, so when coming up with a scene to put her in, I decided a security checkpoint would work best. I wanted to do something like a spaceship or space station security checkpoint, but I was struggling to picture what that might look like in my mind, and Googling it just turned up airport security, and I didn't want to draw airport security. So I kind of went in a different direction. And yes, this does sum up to the fact of I could not picture the apple, so I did something else. I based the setting on my own workplace's employee vehicle security checkpoint. Basically, they just make sure you have a badge before letting you in. I figured she would be leaving the booth because of some sort of disturbance. Not sure what that is, but she is concerned about it. Maybe it's like an alien and it's going to go movie monster on everybody. That would explain why she's reaching for a weapon. Probably just to get eaten or something. But that hardly matters. To try and make this feel more futuristic, I placed a hovercraft security vehicle behind the checkpoint. And there we have it. That's these 3 drawings complete. Now that we've reached the end of this video, I would like to thank Mark Crilly for all of his helpful drawing videos he makes, and for the instruction books that he has published. They have done me wonders on my art journey. My style definitely has shifted from an anime style to more of a cartoony one, but I couldn't be happier about it. I am quite satisfied with where I am in my art journey and have ended up. Thank you to anybody who has stuck with this video until the end and this point. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more. If you want to support me, you can check out my Ko-fi, link is in the description. Also, if you want to see more of what I do, you can head on over to my Tapas page. I got comics and a web novel I'm currently working on. Alternatively, you can check out my Blue Sky, where I post art and other random things. All links will be in the description. Thank you for watching. Bye!